What's up, everybody? I'm Kris Risner, and I'm a freelance digital designer. Today, we're going to be doing something a little bit different. Jesse Showalter is a YouTuber who specializes in UI and UX design, and he's starting a new series called REWORK, where he will be reworking people's designs. So I sent him one of the daily UI designs that I did, and he really liked it, so he decided that he wants to put it on his show. I don't know what he's going to be doing. I don't know if he's just doing like art direction or critiquing it. Maybe he's going to completely redesign it and just use the concept. But my thought process is that he's probably going to be doing a critique of it. Before he does his critique and releases the video, I wanted to make my own video where I critique it and see what changes I could make to make it a little bit better. I did this for a daily UI, so I didn't get to spend a lot of time working on it. I think there's a lot of small things that I'm going to be changing because I did it for a daily UI. And so just for time's sake, I kind of had to get it out and I couldn't really spend a lot of time worrying about all those like little things. So I think that's probably going to be the biggest downfall of this design. So with that being said, let's go ahead and hop in. Okay, so the biggest thing that I know I'm going to want to change is how cramped everything is and the size of the buttons. So if we go up and preview this, you can see that these follow buttons are a little bit too small, and everything overall is just really cramped. There's not a lot of room or space in between each like section or item. So I'm going to try to give everything a little bit more space and make it a little bit easier to click on. First, we'll just move the grid down a little bit. I want it to still show like half of that third picture, half of the third row. Because I want you to know that you can scroll down and you'll be able to see more pictures, and that this isn't the only thing that you're going to see. So just moving it down slightly not only gives me a little bit more room, but it also, you still know, hey, I can swipe and I can keep going down the page. Let's go ahead and move the follow boxes down. So we want it to be pretty close. We'll do 25 pixels. And like I said, one of the biggest things that I have issues with is how small the buttons are. So if we change this to, say, 50, since I used a component, it'll change the size of all of those buttons. For just a second, I'm going to ungroup each of these, because having them group makes it easier to work with, but it's also a little bit harder to plan, or harder to like work with all three of the groups. We're going to just go ahead and align them properly. So those are aligned properly. They're a little bit bigger. If we go back to this looks a little bit more clickable. Maybe we make it a little bit bigger. I think those buttons are a lot better sized. Let's also make the follow suggestions a little bit bigger. You know, maybe we'll go to 16. Since it's kind of a lighter font, making it bigger makes it a little bit easier to read. I'm pretty new to Adobe XD, so I'm not 100% sure the best way to handle some of these like groupings and, you know, components. I liked components for, you know, the last one that I did, because I was able to do all three of them at the same time, but I still run into some like random issues with components. You know, if I try to change one and then maybe it's cut off. So I'm still kind of learning the ins and outs. So I know that ungrouping everything and doing it all like by hand is not the most efficient way, but it is the way that works. And sometimes that's the most important part. So we're going to go up to 70. Again, just making the boxes a little bit bigger, giving you more space to click on. And we're going to go up to 12 for the text. Okay, select both, align them in the center. Helps if you're selecting them both. And then we are going to grab everything and move it ever so slightly apart, and then center that on the page and bring it slightly down to kind of fill in a little bit more of that space and give us more space with everything else. So there we go. I think that by itself looks a little bit better. Let's bring the image header a little bit bigger. I think that image works for everything. I think just giving it that little bit of extra space really helps it look a little bit nicer. We're going to bring these down, and then we're going to bring them a little bit further apart to make it look a little bit more balanced. And there we go. So I think those small changes, kind of giving everything a little bit more space kind of helps. I do want to make these a little bit bigger. So we're going to make this, say, like 27. We're going to actually go a little bit bigger than that. Let's do 30 for both of these to give just a little bit more hierarchy. We'll preview it on a screen. I think that's pretty good. I do want to make these a little bit bigger boxes so that they're easier to read, or so that, again, easier to click. So yeah, that's pretty much everything. I just kind of wanted to make it a little bit easier to click on stuff, a little bit easier to see, a little bit more breathing room. I think that was probably my biggest issue with what I sent to Jesse, was that it just didn't have enough breathing room. As I'm looking at this, there's still a bunch of small things. I can make the text for each of these a little bit bigger. So that helps also, again, with reading. So yeah, those were kind of the things that I wanted to fix with it. Again, this was a daily UI, so I had to do it really quickly. I maybe spent 2 or 3 hours on the entire thing, from planning to design to exporting and putting it in a mock-up. Right now, here is the old and the new. As you can see, those small changes that I made really do make a difference. I could actually even go a little bit further. Maybe I want to add some bold text to kind of highlight some things, or, I really could still play with it even more. That's kind of the thing with any type of design. You're never really to a finishing point. There's always going to be that one thing that you can make a little bit better. And that's one thing that I really like about design, is that you're constantly able to re-look at your old stuff and see how you can improve it. I just wanted to do it before Jesse did it to kind of see where my ideas lined up with his, see what he says about my design. I'm really excited that he chose to use my design in his series. And yeah, with that being said, I'll see you guys next week.